Scotty, you want to lead the way with the first common in black?
Agency Coroner, 4 black for 5 on a total for a creature ogre cleric. It's a 3/6. 2 in a black, sacrifice another creature, draw a card. If the sacrificed creature was suspected, draw 2 cards instead. No, we had short on time, so we didn't set up the chat poll today. This is kind of a bizarro one. This card's a little strange. The suspected draw 2 text could be used when your small suspected creatures sort of get outclassed on board, and then you dig for your reach, etc. But your aggressive Rakdos deck is not particularly interested in a 5 mana 3/6.
Yeah.
That's a bizarre stat line. That's a very strange stat line for a 5-drop. Honestly speaking, you'd probably rather have like a 5/5 with menace, right, or something like that. So this is at a weird spot. If it's not great for a Rakdos sacrifice, or sorry, if it's not great for a Rakdos suspect deck, where does it go, right? Where are we looking at Agency Coroner? Is this the card you want to be like controlling the board with in Dimir? Probably not. It's a little expensive. It's a little clunky. It does block reasonably, I guess. I'm not super excited for this. It's expensive. It's relatively slow, and I think you can do better if you're looking for some sort of grindy. If you're looking to turn resources on the board into resources in hand, I think there's a lot better ways in this set to do that. So I'm on a D+ here.
Yeah, the thing is, like, even if you're, let's say you're slow, I agree with everything that Scotty said about you being like kind of a fast suspect deck. Like if you're doing suspect, you wanna be fast, because it works well with giving your creatures menace, and it works well with giving your opponent's creature not being able to block. If you don't want a 3/6, I completely agree with that in that kind of deck. But then, if you're slower black deck, and opponent is suspecting your creatures, it's maybe a little bit too slow to be sacrificing them for 3 mana after you've played a 5-drop. So that's kind of weird. So yeah, I don't know where to put this. There is no life gain, which we usually see. Just drawing a card. And for a lot of mana, I really don't like this card. I'm just gonna give it a D. I don't think it's gonna get a plus from me. I love this kind of effects, so hopefully the card is gonna perform better. But just the stat line and the cost of the effect don't really ring a bell for me. They kind of don't fit anywhere. In a fast deck, in a slow deck, and whenever I see a card like that I don't want to put in any of those two, and it's also costs a lot. You can't have infinite 5-drops in your deck. Then it becomes really sketchy, and I usually don't want to take it. So D for now. Hopefully it's gonna get higher. There has been in Lord of the Rings, there has been a 5 mana 4/5, which I think is way better stat line, that had to tap itself and pay 1 colorless mana to get a food token and draw a card. So that was pretty good, I think. Because you got a food, you paid only 1 mana, and sure it had to tap, but I think that's fine. Way better than paying 2 extra mana. And food can it can be your engine to survive in the late game and keep drawing cards. So this one just doesn't get any. Nothing is really good about this card. So even though I love this kind of effects. Next up we have Ellie Assailant for 2 and a black. It's a vampire rogue. That's a 3/3. It enters the battlefield tapped, but you can disguise it and then flip it for 6 mana in total. When Ellie Assistant is turned face up, target opponent loses 3 life and you gain 3 life. This one is weird. This one is so weird. Like, usually on a suspect creature, you don't have an option of playing it for 3 mana or, well, disguising it for 3 mana. It enters the battlefield tapped. That is shitty. That is not great. It can block the most 2-drops and every disguised creature or attack through it. 3/3 does line up well, I think, but tapping getting tapped is not great. And then for 6 mana you're getting a 3/3, but you drain for 3. Now that's not bad. I just don't know if the set is that low power level. Like, it isn't. The set is definitely, we kind of discussed this a bit. The set is definitely way lower power level than what we had in the last few years. And it's not like in a bad way where you get a lot of vanilla creatures, boring stuff. It's in a way where you get a lot of effects. You get a synergies. You do have a ton of text. But they're just like the creatures, mostly the creatures are just, the stat line of them is lower. And so this could work. This could work, but it's gonna be so hard to choose. It's gonna be so interesting to choose if you want a 3/3 that's tapped, or you want a 2/2 that you're gonna flip potentially. I don't think it's bad. There are not many 2/3s, yeah, basically none. I don't think it's a bad card, but it's none of these effects are great, so I'm just gonna give it a D+ for now.
I'm a little bit more of a believer. I think the value of direct damage is pretty dang good in this format. Specifically because I think it'll be a little bit hard to punch through on the ground, especially because the creatures are kind of dorky, right? A lot of them are kind of dorky. And I think it's pretty easy in your aggro-based decks to chip in the first like 10 or so damage. And something like Ally Assistant, I think will overperform. I'm not excited about it. I'm not that much higher than you on it, but I'm a little bit more optimistic. I think, and I'm C-.
Yeah, but you pay 6 extra to drain for 3. Is that worth it?
Yeah. I mean, if you're both sort of grinding it out, and it's not really about the cards anyway. It's about the mana efficiency, or it's not about the mana efficiency. It's just about getting the job done. It's not the worst thing in the world. 3 is a lot of life. I mean, 3 is a ton of life.
3/3, yeah, but 6 mana is a lot to pay for that.
That's a ton of mana.
It's a lot to pay for that. I mean, if you're both grinding,
I'm basically never casting this as a disguise on turn 3. I'm like saying, hey, this is a 3/3 for 3 mana, and I'm gonna turn it sideways next turn, and hopefully that's good enough. But
it's nice. I think it could go up. Like D+, I think I gave it a gift. That's what I thought at first, but it could go up definitely, because you do get that option. Right, you do get that option. It's like you gotta choose what's best for you. You can just play it as a 3/3, so that's kind of nice.
And like like effects like this. So I know we don't like to talk about rarity affecting cards that much, but the 3 life loss stacks pretty dang well, even if it's super mana inefficient. Like they start compounding extremely nicely. If you can get like 3 of these in your whole deck, then you have
so
a pretty
much,
good. Yeah, that's a lot of mana, but that means you have a lot of late game reach.
You have what? A lot of late game reach?
Of late game reach.
Yeah, I mean, actually that is pretty good. It's like you just play it as a 3/3 that's tapped. That kind of sucks, but at one point you're just like, okay, I can win with these cards. I'm also gonna give it a C-. I think I'm kind of looking. This is starting to feel better and better for me, cause you just play it on turn 3 as a 3/3, and that's fine. And then the option of draining for 3 later on is huge. Give it a C from me. I'm up on a C.
Oh my gosh, what's happening?
Yeah, cause like it's a really good option to have. It's really good option to have.
I feel like it's bad set review etiquette for you to go higher than me here.
Why?
I'm just kidding. I'm playing with you. It's fine. I'll keep mine at a C-. No, I'll keep it at a C-.
Okay. Next up.
Basilica Stalker, 5 and a black, 6 mana total for a creature vampire detective. It's a 3/4 with flying. Whenever Basilica Stalker deals combat damage to a player, you gain 1 life and surveil 1. Has disguise for 4 and a black. That's a lot of text and a pretty decent amount of stats for disguise 5 creature. This one's I don't hate this. I don't hate this as your top end. Like if you're going to be doing disguise stuff, I think you could do a lot worse than this. I really like 4 toughness on my disguise creatures. I'm a big fan of that for combat in general. And then also just a 3/4 flyer that actually provides pretty good value and races pretty decently. when you start connecting with it is nice. I think this is a good common. I think this is a totally solid common for my top end. I think I'm not happy with this in my black aggro decks, right? If I'm like, hey, I'm Rakdos Suspect, like that is my archetype. I don't think I'm happy with the Basilica Stalker at my top end, but it's also not the most embarrassing top end in the world. You know, if I have absolutely no other things to do with my expense, like at that mono cost. But this card's fine to me. This is a C. I like it.
I like this card less than the previous one. Because, I don't know, again, this is so much mana to pay. Like, if you're going 3 and then 5 to upgrade it for a +1/+2 flying and this effect, I'm not a big fan of this one. It's not Drain, right? So it's just like, it's a 4 life swing, which is kind of fine. Surveil 1 is okay. It's, what people say Vampires synergies, wait. Vampire Vampire doesn't matter. Vampire doesn't really matter. Maybe there's the list or something, but it doesn't really matter. So, don't care about it. But it's a detective, I guess. Not sure how much you're gonna care about black detectives. There could be some cards. That's about it. Surveil is nice if you have collect evidence in like green, maybe blue. So Surveil, it's pretty nice to just put things in the graveyard. What did I do? What phrasing did I do?
No, you said you don't care about it. It's because you primed me by talking about race in the banned words, and then you said I don't care. You don't care about black detectives. And I thought the phrasing was funny.
Wait, I don't care about black detectives. Okay. Which is interesting because I do care about white detectives. It's true. But it's true. You should also care. You should also care about white detectives. There are some synergies there. It is true. Especially white blue. I don't like this much. It's too much to pay, I think. You don't get a big creature. It's harder to trade with it, or be sure that you can block a morph creature or something. I'm on a D+. I think it's fine, but the other one is nice because you can play it as a 3/3 for 3. This is always gonna be small for 3. You can flip it on. I mean, it's not bad. I think I'm gonna start it at a D+. I don't know how many of these you can put in the deck. Like, a deck can contain only a certain amount of... the early game is not that bad, like, in this set. It can contain only a certain amount of high drops, and this is a pretty high drop.
I don't think it's that bad to play. So I think this creature statting in this format's not that bad, where you should play this on 3 and trade off with something. I don't think you're unhappy.
Yeah, that is kind of true about morph creatures. They could all go a little bit up, because you can't just trade them.
I'm a stalker believer.
You're a stalker believer. Well, let's see.
Cerebral confiscation, or I don't know, whatever I'm reading.
Sure.
2 and a black for a 3 mana total for a sorcery. Choose 1. Target opponent discards 2 cards, or target opponent reveals their hand. You choose a non-land card from it. That player discards that card. I am not interested in this for draft pretty much whatsoever. There's better ways to accumulate card advantage. There's more synergistic ways to accumulate card advantage. And I pretty much don't want this outside of sealed or a very specific matchup. Very specific matchup. This is a D- for me.
Yeah, I'm on a D- as well. Don't care about it much. Even though in this set it could be that you're having more cards in your hand, just because you're dumping mana, like you have clues. You're dumping mana in your disguised creatures, right? Flipping them. So it could play out better as like a D maybe. But D- as a start seems fine.
Did you like Calico Skinwitch in Dominaria?
A lot.
What so this is well, what do you like about in that format? Why is Dominaria Calico Skinwitch territory?
Well, first you can just play it as a 1/3. Right? So you have a 2-drop. It acts as a 2-drop. And Dominaria was very slow. So once you're very fast, you don't care about playing your 2-drops as 2-drops. and then you can play it for 6. And most of the time opponents had cards in their hand, because it was so slow and a lot of power came from hand. Like graveyard synergies were good in black, card draw was good in blue. Like divination was amazing in that set, just draw 2 cards, because boards get clogged very quickly unless you drafted wizards and nobody else did. So that was really nice, but I don't think in this set, I mean, this is completely different, right? 1/3 as a 2-drop was normal 2-drop in Dominaria. It was not bad. It was just like what you have. That's what you get. That's what kind of a set it was. And yeah, it's really nice once your 2-drops don't have to be 2-drops anymore. That I can do something more. But this is always exactly this. And yeah, I don't like it.
I mean, why did I start the tangent? I think the fundamental difference for me between Dominaria and this set is when you spend your mana to put cards in your hand. Dominaria had Kicker, which incentivized you for holding cards in your hand until you cast them.
Yeah.
With Clues specifically, it's the mana sink. Your cards are on the battlefield, and then at the end of your opponent's turn, you draw them and then you play them, right? So there's going to be a lot less cards stuck in hand.
I don't think so. Like I think like a lot of times you're going to be having cards in hand but flipping cards on the battlefield.
Sure, that makes sense. Yeah, that's a counter argument.
But it's always whenever we had a kicker set, same in Zendikar. When you had a kicker set, like these card effects were good. Okay.
Oh, your mic dipped again. Your mic dipped again. Sorry, I don't know if you have your program off.
Oh, my mic dipped again?
Yeah, which is disappointing. Sorry.
Okay. You keep telling me if it's dipping or not. So I'm gonna try one thing in a few minutes if it's still happening. Extract a confession. For 1 and a black, it's a sorcery. And as an additional cost to cast this spell, you may collect evidence 6. Each opponent sacrifices a creature if evidence was collected. Instead, each opponent sacrifices a creature with the greatest power among creatures they control. Now that's not bad. I mean, that's not bad. Like, I hate sacrifice effects usually. But this one is not bad. There's not that many great 1-drops as well. It's not great against white. But, like, collect evidence... This is good collect evidence 6, right? You kill the highest power creature that I have. I like this. I don't know how many I want to put in the deck. When I say I like it, usually I really hate sacrifice effects. So it's like... It's just like solely agency, and it's so random if it's gonna be good. So with this one I'm on a C- or a C. I'm not sure. Talk to me about it, Scotty, but I'm somewhere there.
Well, I'm on a solid C. I think this is what you got. This is totally what you got in black specifically. Collecting evidence 6 also has tangential synergies with Golgari, right? Because then you want your creatures to be leaving, so you could get an additional bonus on top of removing your opponent's largest creature. I think that collect evidence is a mechanic that you have to be sparing about what you collect evidence with, and this is a card I'm happy to be spending my resource on, right? I'm happy to be collecting evidence 6 on this, so I'm actually a big fan, so I'm on a C.
I can be sold for a C. I'm on a C as well. Might go down, like it depends how easy it is for you to... It's nice to trade the morph creature and then get collect evidence a lot, so... But this is... I think this is where I want to be using my evidence.
Macabre Reconstruction, 3 and a black for a sorcery. This spell costs 2 less to cast if a creature card is put into your graveyard from anywhere this turn. Return up to 2 target creature cards from your graveyard to your hand. A really interesting designs here. A really interesting design choice, I mean. We've seen this sort of raised dead effect pushed and pushed and pushed recently. And this seems like a very deliberate weakening of this sort of double raised dead effect. It doesn't help fuel your graveyard. The condition of making it cheaper is not particularly easy, especially as a sorcery. Right? So I understand that this also triggers the quote-unquote grave break mechanic, but I also don't really want to be making... I also really don't want to be grinding out with Macabre Reconstruction, because that's really, really clunky. That's like super duper clunky. And I'm not a huge believer in being able to activate this whenever I want. I think this is like, I had another point, but I forgot what it was. Maybe you'll make it, but I think this is like a D+ for me. I'm not into this time around.
I like it, especially if it's a slow set, and just like if you can trade something and pay 2, it is so nice to pay 2.
Oh, the point I was trying to make is that there's an uncommon gorgon that's kind of like Chupacabra-y, but you have to sack another artifact or creature. But that's a great one to buy back. You know, stuff like that.
I like this. I'm gonna be on a C-. I think it's... You don't want to have too many, but I do like this. Like, just... It would be nice if it's instant speed. It would be so nice if it's instant speed. But like 2 mana, if you do pay 2 mana, that is beautiful.
So like if you incentivize your opponent to block when you're a grindy black deck, is that what you're saying?
It doesn't have to be grindy.
That's true. Yeah, you could be. I guess you could be like suspect, right? Suspect aggro, and your opponent has to block.
Yeah.
Fair enough. That's a good point.
And it can be like surveil or meal as well. The creature doesn't have to die.
That's true. And you also have to with a double spell. That can also.
Or loot or attack with your 3/4 flyer and put a creature there.
So what specific cards are you happy to run that self-mill? Do you know off the top of your head, or is it tough from this?
There are some things in Golgari, but there is some surveil, there is some mill. It's a little bit, but I don't even care. Like that's an extra. It's like you trade your creature. That happens a lot.
All right.
I'm okay with it. I'm definitely okay with it. Murder, 3 mana. Double black it's double black. Destroy target creature. It's good. It's good. I like it. B-. I don't like double black, but it's good.
Yeah. So, if you're running a heavy, I mean, like, sure, the play pattern of passing with 3 mana open, and expecting to kill your opponent's 3-drop's not going to work out. That's the only caveat of murder. I still think it's really good B-.
Yeah. Usually, like I was on a B for this one or something, but. It's not double black kind of hurts. Flavor text is so big, yeah. When they flip a huge, when they flip a creature, it can be a big win. Like sometimes the flip is not. A lot of times the flip is not gonna be 5. It's gonna be like 2, and then you're like, ah, damn, I thought I was gonna kill this, and it has some ETB effect, flip effect. Weird. That's like that's Yu-Gi-Oh stuff. Hey.
Repeat offender, 1 and a black for a creature human assassin. It's a 2/1. 2 and a black. If repeat offender is suspected, put a +1/+1 counter on it. Otherwise, suspect it. This is really expensive. Oh, did the mic dip again? Oh, sorry. I guess it just dipped again. Sorry, Lola. But
my mic?
This is like heckin' expensive. And the problem with threat of activation on this card is that it has low toughness to begin with and only adds an additional point of toughness. So it's not like you're even making blocks that awkward by just the first couple activations, because they're still just going to trade off with it. So I'm not huge on the threat of activation part of this. I'm not huge on paying mana for it. But this is a 2-drop that does things, and sometimes you're going to want 2 drops. It's like a C- for me.
Yeah, the 2-drops are nothing special in this format, and that's kind of cool. I'm still having a little bit of a hard time wrapping my head around it, that we don't have crazy 1-drops and even crazier 2-drops, or the opposite. We don't have that in this set, and it's weird. It's weird. I have kind of gotten into the habit of expecting that we are gonna get incredible 2-drops and a couple of really good 1-drops. Yeah, so we have a 2/3 boy cost too? No, we don't, right? What do we have that's 2/3 for 2? No, I don't think we have anything. Unless I forgot, but I don't think we have anything.
Maliva the Rare is
are we talking about the rare? Okay. All right. No, we don't have that. No, you don't. You don't have rares when it comes to drafting until you do, and usually you don't. So we don't have that. Whenever you're thinking about a set, you exclude the rares almost fully. It's sometimes like they affect the drafting a bit, but it's like how good a color is. It's commons and uncommons as well, but commons mostly, but uncommons as well. Okay. That is how you should be looking at a set. 100% you should not be thinking about, oh, there is a rare 2-3. No, nothing, like the 2-drops are not great. So it is hard and exciting to think about a set because we don't have those overwhelming 2-drops, which is crazy. 2 rare is kind of the same as a common. God damn it, Scotty. So I don't know. It's like this 2-drop you have. What can you do? It's like a C-. I think I want to give it like a D or a D+. I'm just gonna give it a D+. I'm gonna give it a D+. I don't think even you need to take a lot of 2-drops in your decks for this format. This is gonna be pretty cool in best of 3. You get some 2-drops against like aggressive white decks, but you don't have to have a lot of 2-drops.
Right? I mean, if you're not playing 2-drops, then what are you like? Are you like what are we drafting to make an aggro red-black deck work even?
I mean, you're obviously drafting 2-drops in an aggressive deck.
But then you're just saying that like you don't really want to.
You don't need to make aggressive decks. I think that's how it is now.
Fair enough.
In every period, basically every set in the last few years, a lot of times you want it to be aggressive. I think in this set, you don't need to be aggressive. You can. It feels like it might be better to not be aggressive a lot of times. I think this set is like more into value, mid game, late game. So that's exciting. So I don't think 2-drops are as important because there is not much that can overwhelm you. That's what the idea that I got. We're gonna see. The white is pretty good at aggression. Rot Farm Mortipede for 3 and a black. It's a 3/4, and whenever one or more creature cards leave your graveyard, this thing gets +1/+0 and gains menace and lifelink until end of the turn. What are you laughing at, Scotty?
Oh, sorry. This is completely unrelated. Sorry. Sorry. It's Han's fault. So I'm sorry. Han is derailing me. Han looked at what is the card? Bubble Smuggler, and then asked how does it swim, because it has a fin on the back, which means it swims forward in that direction, but then it has tentacles in the front which propel it backwards. So they're literally and anatomically it swims in both directions. Like, it swims against each other. It doesn't make any sense.
About what card?
Bubble Smuggler.
Okay.
This is Han's fault. I'm sorry for derailing. This is.
It's okay. It's okay. I don't. Are we gonna get to the card?
Yeah. No. We already did it. It's blue.
It's blue. Okay.
It's the blue 2/1 that morphs for 6 mana into 6/5.
I actually gonna check it out. So wait. 4 mana 3/4 is kind of okay in this set, I think. But man, if you can exile, if you have some collect evidence, I mean. This thing, if you're like collect evidence, okay, that's one thing. But then you can 4 mana, for 4 mana, what you can get 2 creatures back from your graveyard to your hand. Well, that's pretty good. This helps a lot. Like, this helps a lot in that kind of deck. You pay 4 mana to get 2 creatures back. That's value. And then you have a 4/4 menace lifelink attacking. And you still you continue surviving. And if one of those cards has collect evidence and you have more creatures in the graveyard, you can continue attacking. Like 4 lifelink is huge. I'm from Croatia. 4 lifelink is huge. I like this card, man. I'm gonna give it a C for now because it is a 4-drop, but I think this is gonna carry a lot of. I think this is gonna carry a lot of decks. That can do this exiling, that can mill a bit, that can put things in the graveyard, that then can get them out as well. I think this is gonna carry a lot of those decks. A couple of Rot Farm Mortipedes, and you're kind of doing it.
Okay, I'm higher. I think this card is, fantastic. This card is absolutely essential, I think, for a lot of slower, grindier decks. It's such a nightmare to have this 4-point swing, and I don't think it's that difficult if you've built your deck quote unquote properly to be triggering this. So I would be like, if I imagine at the end of the format, if I looked at my black-green deck and I had 4 Rot Farm mortipedes at my 4-drop slot and nothing else, I'd be like, yep, that's exactly where I want to be in the format. Exactly where I want to be.
I feel the same.
So I'm on a C+. I'm on a C+.
I feel the same. But I'm kind of hesitant giving a 4-drop like a C+ that maybe doesn't go in every deck. Give it a C+ from me as well, man. Give it a C+ from me. Like, this set has weaker creatures. That is one weird thing. Like, the set has weaker creatures than what we are used to. But a lot of spells up to are not hit by the reverse power creep. They're up to par. Is that how you say it? Up to par?
Up to par sounds good.
They're up to par with the instants and sorceries of the previous sets, of the latest sets. On par? Yeah, are on par.
Yeah, I guess it's on par.
Up to speed. Are up to speed. Yeah, that's what I want. They're up to speed with the instants and sorceries of the last couple of sets. Collect evidence triggers this. Just getting a creature back from your graveyard to your hand triggers this. Alright, this is nice. Give it a C+ from me as well. I think this is gonna carry those decks. Now, I'm a little bit worried because not all of the decks are gonna be that good. Resurrect and collect evidence only. I mean, what do you mean only? How many effects do you need? Like 5 keywords and 50 cards, every single card moving things away? Okay, I'm into this.
Slice from the Shadows. X black for an instant. This spell can't be countered. Target creature gets -X until end of turn. Let's translate this. You can pay 3 mana to kill your opponent's disguised creature on turn 3, right? For 3 mana. That's an even trade. If you want to kill a 2/2, you have to pay 3 mana. That's pretty bad, right? If you want to scale up, if you want to kill a 5/5, you have to pay 6 mana. This, in my opinion, is the Ray of Ruin of the format. Right? It looks like it's cheap. It looks like it's like, you know, like cheap enough to keep you alive in the early game, but it's very slow. It's very slow. The flexibility is nice, right? But this is not the premium black removal. This is the secondary black removal. Most sets have a premium black common removal and a secondary black common removal. This is for sure the secondary one.
I mean, a lot of times it's going to be 3 mana, kill a 3-drop, right? Because Morph is a 2/2.
Yes, oftentimes, which is fine. That's totally acceptable. So I'm not clamoring for this, right? It's clunky. I don't want too many of them. So this is like, it's like a C- for me.
What do you mean no Lola? What did I say? What did you give it a C?
C-. It's a little clunky. I don't want too many.
No, you don't need 5 mana to kill a disguised creature with this. This spell cannot be countered. Guys, you can pay 3 mana to kill a ward 2 creature. Because it tries to counter it, you say, alright, I'm not gonna pay, and then it doesn't counter it. Reading the card explains the card. I learned that yesterday with Cloak. I was like, you can cloak and play your instants and sorceries. That's gonna be crazy. No, it's not gonna be crazy because it's not allowed. In pre-releases you probably can. But you shouldn't, now that you know. You're on a C-?
Yeah, it's kind of clunky. This is like the secondary black removal, even though it's a little flexible.
Yeah, I'm on a C.
Fine.
I'm on a C. I'm fine with this card. Snarling Gorehound. It can be used as a trick as well, but it always costs quite a lot. Snarling Gorehound. For a single black, it's a 1/1 menace dog. Whenever another creature with power 2 or less enters the battlefield under your control, surveil 1. So this is really nice with collect evidence and helping you get there. Like, this is a good 2-drop actually.
It's a 1-drop.
It's a good 1-drop actually. Just surveilling a couple of times. It's not crazy or anything, but it's not bad. It's not great, but it's not bad. Like, you get to your cards that you need faster. You get that collect evidence up. This could be really good or pretty bad. It's hard to see like how good 1-drops are gonna be. Because I think a lot of decks you're going to be facing are kind of slow, so they're not going to be attacking, and then this stops attacking very fast. I want a C- for starters. I think I like it, like surveilling a lot. Hopefully a lot. It's something I do like.
I think this is okay. I'm a little bit less of a believer than that. I kind of want to be beating down with this, right?
Yeah.
Like, because you want your curve to be low, you want to be triggering this multiple times.
Yeah.
I guess augmenting this is pretty nice, having menace, etc. But, you know what? In that, ooh, it depends on how much of a believer I am in black aggro, which I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I'm as into. I think I'm gonna start with a D+ on this.
I'm gonna go to D+ as well.
I think. So when I put archetype is bad on the bingo board, I think what I'm thinking is that I'm not a believer in Rakdos Suspect as an aggressive archetype. It doesn't look like it has the tools to keep up with any of the other archetypes to me. So I think that's the deck that wants a card like this, right? Because I don't really think Orzhov does. I mean, I think you can build Orzhov to be aggressive, especially with the white cards, but
yeah,
I think mostly it's going to be better supported for Rakdos, which I'm not super huge on. So I'm going to start with a D+.
Oh yeah, this I think this kind of works in that Orzhov deck. I'm definitely not against it in Orzhov. What do we have as an Orzhov card? Like we have like two power matters, and you can just go and I think you can build very fast white black decks.
You know what?
Because you get access to
talk?
What?
Oh, no. So I was gonna ask you pretty much the same question where you're going. Oh, my bad. But I was gonna ask you what does a good Orzhov deck look like?
I think you get access. This is a rare, like you don't really have good 1-drops in most colors here, but you get access to a really good 1-drop in white, and you get access to this white, this 1-drop in black, and your 2-drops that fly care about small things. Your multicolor card cares about getting smaller things in, 2 or less. That's like the theme. And then you care about a bit of white cards care about attacking with 3 things, so these 1-drops help, and there is good white trick, which I think is amazing in this type of deck. Like you play a lot of small things, then you support it with +2/+2, and you still continue drawing cards, and you also support it with 1, maybe even 2, like +2/+1, that makes evidence, that makes clue. So I think that deck is real. But you don't have great 2-drops in black, I think.
Yeah, they're a little bit lacking.
Yeah,
it's kind of so. Wizards has posted that the white black is supposed to be a 2 power or less disguise archetype. So like I think Wizards is expecting Orzhov players to be casting a 2/2 for 3 mana on turn 3, which is a little bit bizarro. For like an aggressive deck.
The thing is, the problem is like black doesn't have the 2-drops. It's like 2 mana, 1/1 that exiles is the last 2-drop you're gonna get to.
Yeah, which is not an aggressive card.
Yeah, that's the problem. Like, but black does provide you with some reach, I guess. Yeah, that is kind of a problem. Black uncommon 2-drop, it's uncommon though.
I think it can work. So here's my problem with Snarling Gorehound. It can work. You can build decks that are aggressively leaning into Orzhov, but I don't think they're going to be quite well supported as the other archetypes. You know?
I don't know. The big deal for me is also like, sure, maybe you don't get a lot of creatures in black, but you have enough in white, and then you have 2 really good tricks. We didn't get to one. Is it next? Yeah, we have a trick next. So I'm gonna go with a D+ for this one, but I think it's gonna go high. I'll give it a C- for now. Sorry, keep it at C- for me. C- for the dog. Like there is that white trick that gives +2/+2 and collects evidence. And Gives you a clue token so you can draw a card. And then we have Toxin Analysis here, which is 1 black, instant. Target creature gains death touch and lifelink until end of turn. And you investigate, right? So you can have a decent amount of these tricks, and that's gonna be pushing you towards attacking with those 3 creatures a lot, attacking with all of your 1-drops. And you're gonna be trading and still drawing cards to play more things on the battlefield. So this just like wins you the trade. Gains you some life maybe. Oh, it's not indestructible, this thing. Oh fuck, why do I think it's indestructible? That's completely broken. I thought this card was broken. Wait, I thought this card was completely broken.
Oh my gosh, what do you think they printed?
I think this was completely broken.
Gosh.
I thought it gave indestructible.
This would be a bad format, I think. Off of the back of 1 card.
That would be pretty horrible. Like, it would be... Saving grace would be that black doesn't have that many aggressive creatures. Oh, that would be pretty horrible. But this still kind of pushes you with that white trick, right? To have a lot of these 1-drops. My god, that would be broken. Jesus Christ, what did I think? Because lately we've always been getting like death touch and indestructible. But of course, you draw a card, right? It's just a small investment. If you're playing a lot of those 1-drops and 2-drops, you trade with that creature that is a problem and you still draw a card, and it's just like 3 mana. If they're blocking your dog, for example, that means they're using 2 creatures to block. One of them is gonna die. Like, I think black doesn't really help with the aggression, obviously, with aggressive creatures, but it helps with this trick and the dog. What do you think about this one, Scotty?
Well, this card is phenomenal. I love that you can actually, so like Blade Brand, you could cantrip it if you didn't have a use for it, but it's a lot better to be able to smash like with a 4-power creature, for example, on a board where you don't have an actual profitable combat to trick, and still like gain 4 life and cantrip off of it. That's extra nice value. Right? Yeah. I'm super happy running this in a non-aggressive deck because of the lifelink. Lifelink is such a great mechanic, or like such a strong keyword to be adding.
And it's 3 mana to cycle if you're just going to use it on their creature, if that's what you're going to be doing.
Like, your aggro versus aggro matchups might hinge on how many Toxin Analyses you draw versus your opponents, right? Because like it can totally swing a race, can totally change combats in your favor.
Yeah, but it's not going to be easy to make aggressive black deck.
Yes. It's still very nice. It's still very nice to me. I'd run it in any deck, honestly. This is like a C for me, which is super high for a combat trick.
They have really slow, like, the more we get into the review, the more I feel that my first initial hunch was right. That they have slowed down the format, which is a very nice change. Like, it's been like progressively getting faster. Aggro. A ton of early game. Only early game. Go. You make a control deck, but you're afraid of being on the draw. Like, you're on the draw, you're like, oh my god, if they like curve out, I'm gonna be so behind so easily. But this feels like you can make this control deck, so this is beautiful. Like, the format has been slowed down. This is what I've been hoping for a long time. And again, it is so exciting because we gotta adapt. Because this is one thing, we gotta adapt to this. It's not just like everything costs more, is weaker like 10 years ago. It's just like the creatures have chilled out a bit. This is cool. What grade do you give it? I'm pretty high.
I give it a C.
Yeah, I'm on a C as well. It's like the highest grade I usually give to a trick, but I can see it being higher than that. This is great.
Unscrupulous Agent. 1 and a black for 2 mana for a creature elf detective. It's a 1/1. When Unscrupulous Agent enters the battlefield, target opponent exiles a card from their hand. This is all context dependent on how strong this card is. Are you a snail lover in LCI, Lola?
No, it's not good. It's really bad.
Yeah, snail was bad.
It's really bad.
Really bad.
It's playable, but bad.
Yeah. So like, Unscrupulous Agent, I'm much higher believer in this format.
Yes.
I'm a lot higher.
Same?
When the creature stats are a little bit more smushed together. When I think formats will be a little bit more about grinding versus your opponent.
Detective?
When you can have certain synergies with this being a detective, with this being a body lying around. I'm a little bit higher on this. This is a solid C for me.
this is this is really format dependent, right? Why was Snail not good? Well, it doesn't trade with a lot of things, and it's just like a lot of times you lose the game because you play the snail, or you win the game because the opponent played the snail, and they could only chomp with it at one point. Now, in the last set, we had a 1/1 death touch in black, which milled, which black wanted. It wanted to mill. That was one of the, in LCI, that I think is one of the most important black 2-drops for most of the black game plans. Welcome to Brazil. Okay. Man, it's really format dependent, but now I think you can play that 1/1. There is a lot more 2/1s in the set for 2 mana, so you can trade with this, and having this double block or even trade is not a small thing when it does feel like the games are gonna last longer. So yeah, I'm gonna see as well. I'm into this one for this set. It's exactly the same thing, detective or no detective, as a snail in the last one. It's just how fast the format is gonna be. Like playing the 1/1 on turn 2 that doesn't trade was huge problem in the last years. Huge problem. And even in a set like SNC where you had casualty, where you had discard, they just discarded the card. Well, this time you can go exiled because of the collect evidence, so you don't help them too much. The card was mediocre. Even with support, where you can use it to sacrifice it for an extra instant or sorcery effect in SNC. Because the 1/1 was a problem to play in a deck where 2-drops are incredibly good. So I think this is gonna work very well in this format. Very well. We are on to our first uncommon. This is the first one, right? Yeah. Case of the Gorgon's Kiss. For a single black. When this case enters the battlefield, destroy up to 1 target creature that was dealt damage this turn. To solve, 3 or more creature cards were put into graveyards from anywhere this turn. When it's solved, this case is a 4/4 Gorgon creature with death touch and lifelink in addition to its other types. Oh, yo, this is interesting. This is so interesting. Oh man, this is interesting. So, what we got a few times was like 1 mana, once or twice. I knew we had it in Kamigawa Neo, where you pay 1 mana for this first effect, but you draw a card, right? Well, if you can solve this, you're already dead, yes. If you can solve this, it's so much better than drawing a card. 4/4, on the board without you paying mana, 4/4 Death Touch lifelink is huge. So let's see how this is gonna go. If you can make one of your creatures trade, and like you attack with a lot of things, they trade with 1, and if you can pay 1 mana to kill something that they blocked, where it looked like a chump attack, bam, you have a 4/4 Death Touch lifelink. That's gonna be game breaking. That is gonna be game breaking. Now, if you're slow, this is at the beginning of your end step, always to solve. So you can only do, if you're slow, it's hard. If you're slow, your opponent doesn't have to block ever. So you really need to be kind of faster. One cool thing is you can pair this, since it's a single mana, you can pair this with removal spells. And I'm not talking about red removal spells, I'm talking about like kill something. You can attack with one thing, hope they block. If they do block, you use this, that's 2 creatures dead, and you just have to kill something else. With murder, with the -X/-X spell, you just gotta kill something else. With a sacrifice, like opponent just has make them sacrifice something for 2. These are all commons I'm talking about. So you can just be attacking with 1 creature and hoping it's gonna work out. I like this card. Oh, it works with mill as well. It works with mill, that is pretty good. I do like this card. And I don't think I'm gonna give it a higher grade than a C+. Because it really depends on your deck. The faster you are, the better it is. The more removal you have, the better it is. The more creatures you have that kind of opponents want to block. So once you make that one attack, you're not like, oh my god, opponent didn't block. And I'm the one blocking, and now I don't have a blocker, this is horrible. They just tapped my creature. Something maybe that is desirable for them to get out of the battlefield, even if they are the aggressor. And then you pair it with removal, that is huge. So it really depends on the rest of your deck. I'm on a C+.
I want a B- ceiling. And I sell you on a ceiling grade.
I'm sold.
Okay, B- ceiling.
If this would have flash, it would be B+, A-.
Okay, I've got a B- ceiling as well, and I hate this card. I think it's so narrow. We are looking at a card in a black aggressive deck that is very bad when you're actually on the back foot, right? If you happen to get paired against an aggro mirror, right? We've seen cards really like this before. Hey, good when you're sort of beating in and when you're actually ahead of the game, which is a card that almost has no text when you're behind, right? Because you can't trigger this on blocks, you can't trigger this on your opponent's turn, and it's going to be very hard for 3 creatures to die if you're behind on your turn, right? Tough. That's really tough. I love the fact that I love this card because there's so many things that are tricking my brain.
Yeah.
Right? In an aggro mirror, I'm like, oh, a 4/4 death touch? Like, how can you beat that in an aggro mirror?
Lifelink.
But how are you gonna flip this? How are you gonna flip this in an aggro mirror? You know? Unless you're already beating down, which is like 50-50. Tough. That's a tough card. That's a tough thing to swallow. I don't think you can actually trigger it. So you can't. Then another beautiful thing about this card is that you can technically flip it by milling yourself, and you can technically flip it by surveilling. But don't think that you want to, because then you're not making use of the first half of the card if you're a slower deck.
I mean, right? You can use the first part and then flip it on a later turn. That sometimes happens, I think.
Yeah, but if you're like doing self-mill stuff, if you're doing like a lot of surveil stuff, then I don't think you're in a consistent enough deck to use this effectively for its first part.
Yeah, but then you're also making a 1 mana 4/4 lifelink death touch.
That might be worth it. That might be worth it. I'm still not a huge. I'm not a huge believer. I am the biggest fan of Menace. With this, Menace is fantastic. Post combat, right? Attack with a Menacer. Trade off with one thing, and then you kill the other thing that you dealt 1 point of damage to. I think that's the strongest interaction in the case of the Gorgon's Kiss. I'm taking this at a C-, but I think it has a B- ceiling.
The thing is, if you're gonna give it a ceiling, I'm okay lowering it to a C. The thing is, the floor is so low with this one. It is so low. But the ceiling is huge. It's so much tempo. It's everything. Ceiling is everything. But in the right deck, this is gonna be the thing. In the wrong deck, well, it's gonna suck. But I don't think it's ever gonna be that bad. It is very hard. Oh, there is also like you can, in red, I guess you can deal damage and then use it, but that's not that great. You really want to trade. You really want to trade with this, so it's interesting.
I really think it's a Rakdos gold card.
You think this is a Rakdos gold card?
I do think it's a Rakdos gold card. I'm actually not a believer otherwise.
I think it's really good in white when you are gonna have access to better 1-drops and 2-drops. Okay, this is gonna be so interesting. It works with milling, cycling, yeah, so you can like help yourself with that.
Clandestine, I don't know, meddler. 2 and a black for 3 mana total. For a creature, vampire, rogue, it's a 3/2. When this enters the battlefield, suspect up to 1 other target creature you control. Whenever 1 or more suspected creatures you control attack, surveil 1. This is nice. I don't love that if you play it on an empty board, it's a 3/2 that does nothing. Right? It's a 3/2 that does nothing. Am I reading that correctly?
Yeah.
It doesn't suspect itself.
Nothing.
And then it does nothing if it's not suspected. Yeah, rough.
Yeah.
So I really do also want to be an aggressive black deck. Yes, this fits in the same deck that I would imagine the Case of the Gorgon's Kiss fits in. But if you do get there, it's a big beating. It can turn all your crappy 2-drops into something pretty good, right? Your 2/1. You can suspect it and you start surveilling immediately, which is fantastic for your aggro starts. I think that's a solid place to be. But it's a little narrow for. I kind of want a ceiling grade for this too, to be honest. At like a C plus, but I'm taking this one also at a C minus.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like this is really dependent. Like, are you sure that you're gonna be the aggressor? Because that creature is never gonna be able to block again. And you can never surveil if you have like two suspected creatures. You're not gonna surveil two. But like collect evidence is nice. I don't know. You give it menace forever, I guess. So that's kind of cool. You really need to be aggressive with this one. I'm okay on a C minus. But it's a freaking 3-2, that kind of sucks. I guess I'm okay with a C minus. And I don't know, I kind of want to give it a D plus. It is so like when you're not aggressive, it's bad. When you are, like it's not crazy. Like you gotta be sure that you're aggressive. I guess 3-2 can trade, so it's not the end of the world.
Yeah, I was like, it's not so bad when you're behind. It blocks a thing.
You never play it if you're slower. You just don't play this. I don't know. I'm on a D plus. I'm on a D plus. This thing, just one thing about the case. It is incredibly hard for 3 or more creatures to be put into the graveyard from anywhere. That is not easy. But in this set, I think it's more doable than the others. Faster Leech. For a single black, it's a 1-1. When it deals combat damage to a player, you mill 2 cards, and for 1 and a black, it gets +2/+2 until the end of turn. Activate only once each turn. Now, this is a thing I wanna be having when I'm milling. This is a thing that I wanna be having when I'm putting things in the graveyard. 1 mana, 1-1, and there is always a threat of activation that is gonna become a 3-3. It seems like, you remember the 1-4 in this set? Nautilus, whatever the name is, where you kind of didn't want to use the 2 mana thing, because then you're always trading down. But that's like 2+2 is 4. 1 mana is so easy to play, and using it for 2, it's kind of like, okay, you basically pay 2 mana, because 1 you sneak in somewhere on turn 1 or later, you just sneak it in. So it's not like you're paying a lot of you're paying a lot of mana and trading down. And this thing can attack, I think, a good amount of times early. Like there's not that many 3/3 creatures, and then for 3 mana there is a 2/2 morph. So this thing is good. This thing is really good if you care about putting things in the graveyard, and I think you are gonna care about it. I'm on a C plus for this one, or even a B minus.
I'm on the B minus train.
Give it a B minus from me as well. Anything else to say about it, Scotty?
Nope. This is a fantastic threat of activation card. If I play this on turn 1, I expect to have like 6 cards in my graveyard, and my opponent to be at 17 life.
It is, yeah. It's just, this is the best thing to put things in the graveyard, I think, out of everything that we're gonna see. Maybe I'm wrong, but yeah. Collect evidence. Let's go.
It doesn't add up. 3 black for an instant. Return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Suspect it. Did I say it's an instant? Because it's an instant. Interesting card.
Not interesting
super interesting
at all.
card. You don't think it's interesting at all?
It is not interesting at all.
Oh, you hate this. Okay. Or I don't know if you hate it, but you don't think it's interesting. Very bizarre, specifically because I want this effect usually when I'm like grinding, but like this is like an aggressive card and it can't block. So that's very strange. You don't think it's interesting? I mean, I think it's a D, but I think it's interesting.
I think it's unplayable.
Okay.
And what's the interesting part about it? That it doesn't add up? Because it doesn't add up. This is a card that you want to be playing, like, so you want to be playing it in a slower deck because of its effect. But then you want to be playing it in a faster deck because of suspecting. So you don't want to be playing it in a fast deck because of the first effect, because it's 5 mana to get something back and you're probably going to have small things. And you don't want to be playing it in a slow deck because of suspect. So you don't want to be playing this in a fast deck. You don't want to be playing this in a slow deck. Where are you playing it? Where
do
do you put it?
you want to say something? So if it doesn't interact in combat, look, how good is buying back your ETB abilities? Like are you interested in that whatsoever, or your abilities? Period.
No, because it's 5 mana. So to get something out of it, you need to have something in the graveyard, 5 or more, which is you can do it. But for the ETBs, I mean, the card does nothing until you have something in the graveyard, and then it does it very badly. It does it very badly. You wanna return the finisher with menace? No. You're not returning the finisher with menace. You're returning a finisher with menace and cannot block. In your slow decks. Cannot block in your slow decks. That's gonna be a finisher, alright. You're paying 5 mana for a finisher to lose a game.
I can't imagine running this card over the common in a slow deck.
Yeah.
There's no way. No chance.
You can say that about all, like, oh, my slow decks by design are don't have the great early game, right? And their mid game, late game cards, what is really good in those is cards that they get you back in the game, because you expect to not be very, very well positioned in the early game. You kind of expect that. So if you have the late game card that doesn't help you stabilize at all, that helps you kill the opponent by attacking, that doesn't work. Like, when you're playing a 6-drop in a slower deck, you want either multiple bodies, you want life gain, and you want to be able to block with it. That is so important. When you play a 5-drop or a 6-drop, that it can block. You can be like, okay, you played your 2-drops, you played your 3-drops, whatever, and now I can kill them with my creature. My creature kills it. This thing is like, oh, please, I'm using 5 mana, and it's not gonna do anything about stopping my opponent from attacking me and killing me. And I'm a slow deck, and please, don't kill me, opponent. Because I'm not gonna stop you. I'm not gonna stop you in killing me. So please don't. I don't want my late game. This is very, very late game card. I don't want my late game cards to do that. One plus, I guess, about this is that in this set you can play a 3 mana morph disguised creature and then trade it off. And then it's a little bit easier to have high mana cost cards in your graveyard. Like in some sets you have this and you gotta play that 6-drop and then it's gotta trade and it's gotta not be exiled or tapped. It's gotta go in the graveyard. That is so hard. Here you can play your disguised creature, trade it with whatever they have, and then pay 5 mana to get it back, even though it's turn 5 and you never really played a 5-drop. So this doesn't stabilize at all. Slow decks don't want creatures that cannot block. That is like if you're ever gonna be not blocking is incredibly bad keyword. It is so bad. The cards that look amazing become one of the worst cards in the set when you add cannot block, and you're doing that here. Basically the only decks that can do the non-block suspecting, because you do get menace, are very aggressive decks, because then at least you're kind of hedging on that you're almost always going to be attacking, or you're hoping for that, right? My game plan is fast. I'm going to be the one who is attacking. It's okay. Menace is going to help me attack. Not being able to block is fine. I'm not blocking anyways. It's still very big risk there. Usually not be able to block in aggressive decks is bad. But at least with a lot of suspect cards you can choose to add that clause. Okay, I can choose to make my creature suspected or not. With this one, you can't. And when you are it works completely opposite in a slow deck. If this said you might suspect, you can suspect a creature, it would be really good. It would be really good because of the morph that I've said, disguise that I've said, and because you can play a creature at flash speed so it can block. And you might mess up the opponent's game plan. So it would be really good, I think. Not completely broken, but I think it would be really good. Now, forcing you to play a creature for 5 mana that cannot block. You're rolling a dice. And when you're building a limited deck, you want to roll the dice as little times as you can. You want consistency. Consistency doesn't mean you're not doing crazy things, but is it crazy things to reanimate something and make it not able to block and give it menace? Not that crazy. So you really do wanna roll the dice as little times as you can, because that's how you get into very high win percentages and winning a lot, not just like once every 10 drafts or seals or whatever. Consistency. If you like roll the dice all the time, well, most of the time, like you roll it 10 times, 5 times you fail and you lose.
What's your grade?
Talked a lot about this card because chat was high. A good amount of people were kind of high on it in chat, and you didn't hate it, Scotty.
No, this card stinks. It's a D. Are you on an F?
I can give it a D minus as a big gift, I guess.
I'll go D minus as well.
What is the green card? That there is some green life gain card. I know that, but does it have to be flipped?
There's a green life gain card for 2 mana that's a 1/3 reach that can be a 2/4 if you collect evidence.
No. I mean, there's like a big drop in green. Is it uncommon maybe?
Oh, it's uncommon. That's an uncommon. Yeah.
That's an uncommon.
Or yeah, it's an uncommon.
So, oh yeah, it's what? Oh, when it enters the battlefield, but it's not that easy to put it in the graveyard. So yeah, you distribute +1/+1/+1 counters among creatures and you gain life. That's a 7 drop. That one is good to get back because it gains you life, right? So even if it's a specter, it's kind of okay. So if you can consistently, if you have a couple of those which are uncommons and you can put it in the graveyard, like that gains you life and it wins you combat, right? Even though it's suspected because it's a 3/3, and then it wins you combat. It's a 3/3 reach for 7 mana, but you distribute 3 +1/+1 counters wherever you want. So like that can help you in combat and gains you life and gets you back. So that's kind of something that you could be doing with this. But it is a bit hard. There is leave, graveyard synergy. Yeah, I don't know. This just doesn't seem good at all. D minus. Hopefully it finds a place. I really love when these cards are good, but my god, if my 5 drop is not gonna be able to block, what the hell is it doing? What the hell is it doing? Do you have anything else to say about the card? Because you kind of find it interesting. What is interesting about it?
That's it. I mean, okay, it's interesting. Look how many people you tried to argue with. That's pretty objectively interesting.
The card is not interesting to me.
It has different opinions for a lot of people.
The interesting thing for me is that people don't hate it.
Yeah, that makes it interesting.
That doesn't make the card interesting. It makes people interesting that are talking about it. It's like if I would sit with myself on this one, I would be like, oh my god, this sucks so much. Next. Oh, that's like, it's very clear and not much to think about here. So yeah. Yeah, I guess I'm glad that it exists, because then we can talk about it. Resurrection effects overperform. No, they don't.
Lead Pipe, black. For an artifact, clue equipment. Equipped creature gets +2/+0, and whenever equipped creature dies, each opponent loses 1 life. 2, sacrifice Lead Pipe, draw a card, and equip 2. I kind of like this one. Specifically in terms of how much pressure it does apply in the sort of late game, even if the board is sort of stalling out. It means that it can put the, first of all, it's clunky, but it can put the opponent in a situation where damned if you do, damned if you don't in terms of blocking, right? You are losing life, regardless of what happens in this combat. And I like cards that can pin your opponent in terms of that sort of pressure. That being said, I still am not a huge believer in black's aggressive commons, and this is definitely an aggressive card. If your game plan is to play Lead Pipe and block and drain your opponent out by blocking, that's not going to work. That's just too slow. That's too slow. So specifically proactive black, but I do like it in a proactive black deck. I think this is like let me think about this for a second. It's a clue for blue-black, I guess, but I don't think if you're controlling blue-black clue control, I don't think you want this, even if it does technically say clue on it. I'm going to put this at a C-.
Well, it's not bad with a 1-drop. It's not bad. I kind of like this. I'm gonna give it a D plus still. It's nothing crazy, but if you do get those 1-drops like this really helps, and it deals unblockable damage as well. It's not great, but I think it's fine. I think I like it. Like with the dogs, you put them on the menace, and maybe you have the trick then you can kill 2 creatures with that touch. I mean, and you can just replace it by drawing a card. Yeah, I kind of like this. D plus. Thought I was gonna hate it. Learing onlooker. Now we are coming to the card. For 1 and a black, it's a flying 1/3 vamp, and for 2 and double black, you can exile it from your graveyard and create 2 tapped 1/1 flyers. Sheesh. The only problem I have with this one is that it's not that easy to lose it. It's a 1/3. It's not that easy for this to die and for you to be happy that it died, because usually just gonna die without trading for anything. Yeah, you can surveil this or put it in a graveyard. That's amazing. Like 4 mana for 2 1/1s kind of free is really good, and 2 mana 1/3 flyer is not something I'm looking for, but I really like this one. The big problem I have is that it's a 2 mana 1/3. But I guess this is really good for blocking the morph creatures, and then if they unmorph, you're kind of fine with that. I want to B something for this one, yeah. B minus or a B or a B plus. Yeah, it leaves graveyard for... It does leave a graveyard on its own. I mean, I like this a lot. I don't think it's a... the 1/3 is kind of the problem. But I do like this a lot. It works with everything. B minus or a B? I'm gonna start it as a B minus.
I also got Learing onlooker as a B minus. It's really strong.
You want a B minus as well?
B minus as well, yep.
It does block the flyers. We had Talvi talk about like Defossilize. Defossilize is a great card. You get a full creature, no double black as well, and it can block and do whatever creatures do, and it explores 2 times. So even if you got like a small creature back, it's really good. Makes your draws better, makes it bigger, draws you lands. You're not just getting a creature that can block. You're also getting all the other things. But the graveyard recursion spells underperform usually, because it needs to be in the graveyard. Like 5 mana get something back has never been really good. Just that effect has never really been good. When you get extra effects, good effects, not nerfs, that's where it becomes different.
Long Goodbye, 1 and a black for an instant. This spell can't be countered. Destroy target creature or planeswalker with mana value 3 or less. This sometimes cannot remove the large creatures that you do want to kill, that are, for example, stonewalling you if you're an aggressive deck, or that you need to answer, right, if you're being pressured by an aggressive deck, for example. But this is very efficient. This is very efficient. I think this is on par with Murder for me, despite the fact it can't kill larger things, and this is a B minus.
Yeah, B minus as well. I like this. Maybe C plus actually. Yeah, I'm on C plus. I like this. I like this quite a lot.
C plus
you usually trade down for 1 mana. What do you want to say, Scotty?
No. I'm just recording your change. You're on a C plus. I'm on a B minus.
Yeah, C plus seems fine. I really like this. Yeah, you don't want to use it when they have mana to flip, because they can flip and it's not gonna work. Okay, this one is a very weird one for me to rate. I'm not sure about it. It's a Night Drinker Moroy. For 3 and a black, you get a 4/2 flyer, but when it enters the battlefield, you lose 3 life. So you kind of don't want to do that. But then it has a disguise for double black. So I guess the gist of it is you disguise it for 3 and then flip it for 2. That's 5 in total for a 4/2, and you're not losing life. But why is that good? Why is that? What is good about it? That you're flipping it or playing a 5 mana, 3+2 or 5 mana, 4/2 flyer. Like, what are you getting? Just getting a flyer that's 4/2. Like, there is a blue common 3/3 flyer for 4 mana. that just draws you, gives you a clue token when he dies, and it's a 3/3. It can also block a lot. Man, I don't know. I don't know what is good about this card. I'm just gonna give it a D. I don't see it. Do you see something here? I can't see it.
This reads like a really old card.
Yeah, yeah.
This is like a weird amount of downside, and I'm not just talking about the text. I'm talking about the 2 toughness. It's like a weird amount of downside for an uncommon here. Like, I think in my aggressive black deck, I am fine with a Night Drinker Moroy. I'm not even excited, right? I'm not even excited to be like, oh, I'm black aggro. Now I get to play this and slam dunk it on. No, not really. No, I'm not really thrilled about that. Really, like, and it has double black. There's like this is weirdly tuned, isn't it? Doesn't that raise alarm bells for you, Lola? There's like a lot of knobs that are tuned on this to be worse than they need to be.
Yeah.
Like, why is it double black? Why does it lose 3 life ET? But why is it 2 toughness? Was this card busted?
I don't know. Yeah, it's weird. Like, I guess you can play it for 3 and then have on turn 4 you can have. I mean, on turn 4 you can have a 4 flying damage. I mean, that's now that I think about it, like turn 4, you're attacking for 4 in the air for 2 mana, and then you play a 2-drop as well. That's kind of fast. That on turn 4 you're attacking for 4 damage in the air. Like, that is pretty fast. If you curve out with it, it is pretty fast.
I'm on a D+.
But how much better it is than opponent when you do that? An opponent just plays the 4-drop.
It's not even. I mean, like, it has evasion, so if you're the one beating down, you know, plus on that, I guess. But it's not great.
Yeah, I don't see this one. I don't see this one. I hope it's not good. It's not even fun. I just don't see it.
Persuasive Interrogators. 4 black for a creature, Gorgon Detective. It's a 5/6. When Persuasive Interrogators enters the battlefield, investigate. Whenever you sacrifice a clue, target opponent gets 2 poison encounters. Ignore that second line of text for now. For now, we're going to ignore the second paragraph. When it enters the battlefield, investigate for a 5/6 for 6 mana. How good is that? I think that is pretty mid. I'm not particularly interested in that. The body's relatively large, right?
Yeah.
Getting an investigate token when it enters is fine, right? And specifically, gosh, you know what? Even in really long drawn out control versus control games, asking this to stay on the battlefield until you crack 5 clues is too much. It's too much. Like, I want this. I want it to be better at breaking control mirrors, but it's not. You know, like, it's so likely that your opponent can find some sort of answer to this when you're on like 6-8 poison even, and all that work is, you know, not going to end the game, unfortunately.
What if you have 2 of these on the battlefield? You just need 3 clues.
I mean, yeah, you did it. Yeah, clap, right? We did it. We played 2 6-drops and we won the game. You know.
I'm not sure what you're getting at.
I mean, if you play 2 6-drops, you're probably winning the game.
What? What kind of game are you playing?
If I play 2 Colossal Dreadmaws, I'm probably winning the game.
Yeah, I don't think you are.
You don't think so?
Yeah, what
if I play 2 Cavern Stompers, I'm probably winning the game. But whatever.
You just like, you chump those, you go wide, you have flyers, you kill one of them for like 3-4 mana. 2-3-4 mana. Play 2 6-drop in the game? What the fuck is this shit?
Well, that's like tons of mana that you're spending versus your opponent who's probably not playing 2 6-drop. All right, man. I'll play my Cavern Stompers.
You play 2 Dreadnoughts and you win the game?
That's so much stats. That's a lot of mana spent. Why are we arguing about that?
What the fuck? What kind of game are you playing? Like, then I would.
You're more likely to win the game if your opponent doesn't play 2
no,
6-drops than if you play 2 6-drops.
You said like you win the game. Like, it's just not
okay, fine. That fine.
Crazy.
You know what? I will fully admit, and I will reflect on my mistakes. I was being hyperbolic.
It doesn't even mean
And
that you...
that was a content creator's sin. I will never be hyperbolic.
It doesn't
I will
even
never
mean...
be hyperbolic
No,
ever
you're not
again.
forgiven. And it, and it doesn't even mean that you are more likely to win the game because you play the 6-drops. Like, because you play a 6-drop, it means that you're not playing other cards from your hand, because you usually don't have more mana to spend.
I mean, if you spend more mana than your opponent over the course of the game, you're more likely to win than your opponent. Do you agree with that?
Spending 6 mana on a creature doesn't in any way make you spend more mana than the opponent. They're also spending their mana on things.
All right. I'll drop it. 2 Persuasive interrogators is decent. But I don't like this card. This is a D for me.
Yeah, it would be so cool, like, if it was a common, but it would probably be a little bit... If it was a common, you build a deck around these, right? Getting a couple of these is the only thing that adds poison counters, right? Wait, my mic is still fluctuating. Now it's like lower. Now it's lower, I'm guessing. Okay, I'm gonna close one thing and then see if that fixes it. Yeah, close one thing. Alright, I have closed. I think I've closed. Alright, you guys tell me if it's better now. I don't know if it is. This is one thing I'm gonna try. Or is it the same? So yeah, I don't know. I'm just still weirded out about the 6-drop thing. It's
oh my god. Okay. This is review's Dracosaur, isn't it? Okay, fine. I'm willing to put my line down on another stat that we can never measure. Okay. If you've cast 2 6-drops in a game, I feel like your win percentage in those games is like 70%. Do you disagree with that?
Yeah, I won a ton of games where opponent played 2 6-drops and it didn't matter much.
Okay. I'm willing to bet if you've cast 2 6-drop creatures in a game over the course of everyone that we can never data collect over, I think those people's win percentage are probably like 70 plus.
I mean, when you play 6-drops, you can kill them for a lot less mana. That's why they're dangerous to play a lot of times. And also when you play 6-drops, it means you're not playing other things and that you're not double spelling like opponent maybe is. I don't get this, man. Do all of your decks have like a couple of like 4 6-drops then?
But you've survived long enough to cast 2 6-drops. The game state is already like in your favor of casting 2 6-drops.
I mean, I gotta say this, like even in a very fast format, you almost every game in almost every game you get to 6 mana at one point.
I'll cast my 6-drops. I like Cavern Stomper.
I like Cavern Stomper as well. I like it as well. The God of 6-drops. I'm absolutely weirded out with this. This doesn't make any sense to me. It's like...
Like, look, Colossal Dreadmaw is better than Bonehorde Dracosaur because it costs 6 mana. It's just math.
Yeah, alright.
Read Polygraph Orb.
I don't even know what's happening anymore. It's alright, let's look at this card. I mean, drawing a card is not that bad on a 6-drop, but it doesn't draw it right now, right away. I mean, it really isn't that bad, but how often are you gonna have the... Can you get 5 clues, is the thing? I don't think this is a set like Shadows over Innistrad where you're pumping out clues that fast. We've reached that point of the set review. What really is the difference between 6-drops and 2-drops? 2-drops are small and for babies. Right, Scotty?
I don't play any 2-drops. I only play 6-drops.
I don't know. I mean, it's not horrible. What grade do you give it? Like a D?
I give it a D.
I don't know. Set seems kind of slow. Like the creatures are smaller, so like 5/6 is not that bad.
5/6 is huge in the set, I think.
Like I can see, yeah, it's pretty huge. And this is actually the 6 mana 5/6 is huge in this set. I agree, and I think these games are slower, gonna be slower. And Black has some tools to be slower, gain some life here and there. That's nice. I think you can accumulate some clues before you play this, and you didn't even want to get them. So I don't think it's irrelevant, that last part. And I think you're not gonna be flipping clues. Like that's gonna be the last thing on your mind, like getting clues. That's on the schedule of sequencing cards and in what order you're playing them and using their effects. The last on the menu is popping clues. So I think a good amount of times this is going to come in and it's going to make you a third clue or something if you have a deck that has enough clues. So you just need 2 more. So that's something. But then what helps this card, I think, is there's a black common that we're gonna get to. That when it flips, it gives you like lifelink, and it has lifelink itself to a creature, so that helps. There's also a black common that gives you like the 1 mana common that can gain you a lot of life here. There's a 3/4 common that can have lifelink if you're exiling creatures from the graveyard. So it does feel to me like you get enough creatures and type effects in black that will help you prolong the game. So I'm actually going to be on a D+ for this, and I can see it getting higher. Even if you're not going to have enough clues, just drawing that extra card and having a 6-drop in the deck, I think it's going to be fine. So yeah, I'm fine with a D+, and I think it's going to go higher. D+ is high for me for a 6-drop, but this could definitely go up.
I'll go up to D+ as well.
Okay. Polygraph Orb for 4 and a black. When Polygraph Orb enters the battlefield, look at the top 4 cards of your library. 2 of them in your hand and the rest into your graveyard. You lose 2 life. For 2 and a tap, collect evidence 3. Each opponent loses 3 life unless they discard a card or sacrifice a creature. That's a lot of text. So for 5 mana we get an effect. We usually get them for 3 or 4 mana. Okay, that's the starting point. This lose 2 life, get 2 cards. You put things in the graveyard so it's easier to collect evidence. But how good is this collect evidence? They just gotta sacrifice, discard a card, sacrifice a creature, or lose 3 life. Like, a lot of times that choice is not that hard for the opponent, I think. I think this is gonna pair not that badly with the leeches, with the insects, with the mortipedes. You collect evidence here and you're attacking with a 4/4 menace lifelink. So I don't think it's unplayable. I think it's gonna pair up well with a common. So I'm gonna go with a D for this one. And usually I would hate this and I would give it nothing. But I'm gonna go with a D. I think in a mortipede deck that it's gonna work.
Nah, man.
It is bad though. It is pretty fucking bad.
I rest my case.
It's really bad.
Nah, man.
Oh man.
Nah.
It's really bad though.
No.
Yeah.
There's gotta be better ways to repeatedly trigger your mortipedes, you know? Like other colors? Like any sort of bring 2 creatures back from your graveyard? This is so
bad.
expensive. I am more interested, like, so in the situation that you described, I am more interested in using this as a repeated way to trigger my Gravebreak mortipede stuff in a specific matchup. You know, like I'm never main decking Polygraph Orb. I'll bet on that. I'll bet that I'll never main deck a Polygraph Orb in draft. But I can see bringing it in a couple times in the sideboard for very specific matchups. D-.
Yeah, I'm also on a D-. It's just so much. And you're also losing life. It's so much to pay. Yeah, give it a D-. It's also 2 mana and tap it. I don't know. This kind of could be free even.
I'm sorry, did you say free?
Like the effect could be like free. Wait, so the mic was good in the last 5 minutes? This is a good volume? Or was it too quiet like before? Because I think I know what's making it fluctuate. You just tell me like if this is a good volume, or if I should be a little bit louder. Or am I usually a little bit louder than this? Presumed dead. You're up, Scotty.
Presumed dead. 1 and a black for an instant. Until end of turn, target creature gets +2/+0 and gains when this creature dies, returns to the battlefield under its owner's control, and suspect it. We're talking about an aggressive combat trick, because suspecting it, if you're expecting to grind out value with Presumed Dead, is tough. And for a narrow combat trick that's not even super duper amazing to me, I think this is. So let me imagine this. You're trading up probably with menace is pretty dang good, right? And then it's gonna have menace again, I guess.
You're also flipping disguised creatures.
Yeah, flip a disguised creature, which is actually freaking nice, actually. That is nice. And then it comes back suspected. Yeah, you know what? That's. I think that moves the needle a little bit for me. I was gonna give it a D, but I'll give it a D plus. D plus.
A little bit of a problem that I have is that in this set the disguise cards are a little bit different. They are not super expensive, and a lot of them have flip effects, and this is not gonna flip. This doesn't make the card turn face up. It doesn't make that trigger go resolve. So you play something for 3 as a morph, you flip it. There are not that many creatures that are like 6 drops, 7 drops, or 5 drops that you're gonna get some really good creature after it flips. That's the biggest problem for me. So I'm gonna give it a D unless you have enough of those big creatures. That's about it.
I refuse to be higher than you. I'm going to D. I'm going back to D.
Going back to D. Okay. Slimy dual leech. For 3 and a black, it's a 2/4. At the beginning of combat on your turn, target creature you control with power 2 or less gains +1/+0 and gains that touch until the end of turn. Man, I like this a lot. If you are attacking, I don't care that this is a 2/4. It gets an immediate effect and it continues to have an immediate effect, to have an effect on the battles. I like this in an aggressive deck, dude. It is weird because it's a 4 mana 2/4. So I'm gonna give this a C+, but it's gonna go down in any deck that's not aggressive. I don't want it in a deck that's not aggressive. It can be 3-4 death touch on attacks, I guess.
Honestly, for a effect this powerful, the 2/4 body is bigger than I would have expected.
Yeah, that's also true.
It's this is nice. I'm also on a C+.
Like with a dog or with white 1-drops or with white go wide, this is just gonna enable the attacks that wouldn't be able that you couldn't have otherwise.
Soul Enervation, 3 and a black for an enchantment has flash. When Soul Enervation enters the battlefield, target creature gets -4/-4 until end of turn. Whenever one or more creature cards leave your graveyard, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. This is a heck of a card.
Yeah.
Fantastic floor, you know? Like, you just kill something. You can't kill everything, but it can be used as a combat trick, you know? And this is a way to close out some games and get some nice value off of doing the thing that your deck wants to do anyway. It doesn't ask much for you, and it pays you off very nicely. This is it's 4 mana, which makes me hesitant to give it a B, but it does a lot, so I'm gonna give it a B-.
This is so good if you can collect evidence and stuff, like just drain constantly. In multiples this gets crazy. I'm gonna B for this one. I think this is incredible, but in some decks obviously it's not gonna be that great. But it's paired with the mortipedes again, and I'm talking about that card a lot. It's like it's gonna be even more life gain. I like this a lot. B. This is the highest grade I gave to black card, I think. Undercity Eliminator. For 3 and double black, it's a 3/3, and when it enters the battlefield, you may sacrifice an artifact or a creature. When you do, exile target creature opponent controls. This is gas. You sacrifice your worst thing and kill their best thing. This, at its worst, is 5 mana. You sacrifice this creature and you exile a creature opponent controls. So that's the worst thing it can be. And that is not great. But that is the worst thing it can be. You can sacrifice your 1/1s. You can sacrifice your clues. And black has like some good small creatures. You can sacrifice anything that's smaller than this, and that's what you're gonna do. Sacrifice your clue to give poison. You can get this back and do it again. I like this a lot. And I think I'm gonna start it as a B or a B-. I think I'm gonna start as a B B. B? Is that too high? I think it's a B.
You like this card or the last card better?
I think the last card. But it depends on the deck. Like, this is good in almost any deck. And the last card is better in some decks, I guess. But, I mean, both are so good. I don't know which one I like more. Both are really good.
I like this card more.
Yeah, I don't know. This is more consistent, I think.
I'm also on a B- for this card, though. But they're both very good.
Yeah. We are done with the commons and uncommons and going towards rares now. Just so, chat, I hope I was not too harsh when I discussed the graveyard recursion card. I'm just I just love discussing cards, and I didn't mean anything bad by it. That I hope I didn't degrade you or something. I don't
think you even said anything to check off the bingo box.
Really?
Yeah. Did you insult chat? I don't think you did.
I don't think I said anything like that. I just want to be clear that I don't know. I just love discussing cards, and about some effects when I really believe in something, I guess I go pretty deep into it and get pretty fiery about it. Even though, yeah, it's just a magic card, but it is super interesting, and about some things I'm 100% sure about those.
This is important. We need a quick chat poll.
Yeah.
Did you feel dissed? Did you feel dissed? We need this for the bingo. Did you feel dissed by Lola?
You read the next one. Read the next one. They're just gonna mess with me now.
Barb Servitor, 3 and a black for 4 mana total for artifact creature construct. It's a 1/1 with indestructible. When Barb Servitor enters the battlefield, suspect it. Whenever Barb Servitor deals combat damage to a player, you draw a card and you lose 1 life. Whenever Barb Servitor is dealt damage, target opponent loses that much life. On its own, this card is quite bad, right? We're talking about a 1/1 that then starts pecking in and starts losing life. That's kind of rough, especially because it can't block. If you can remove suspect from this, which there are ways to do, right, including ways that your opponent can do that they can't necessarily control, which is a little awkward, right? Like narrow down the witnesses or whatever that -2/-0 blue card is. This on blocks is like you can't really attack into this.
You gotta unsuspect it, right?
Yeah, you have to unsuspect it. The black uncommon, the Rakdos uncommon unsuspects your creatures naturally, which exists, which can work, but I don't think I'm taking this particularly highly. I would rather get this when I already feel like I can do something with it, as in, no, that's too cute. It's all too cute for me. It's all too cute. I don't think I'm taking this highly at all. This is like a D.
Yeah, again, the problem is like you cannot block with it, and sure, it's gonna get you cards, but you really need to be able to. It doesn't have any immediate effect, so like it's gonna gain tempo for the opponent, and then it's gonna be slow at gaining you cards, and oh man. And if you unsuspect it, I guess it's okay, but how much do they care about losing life then? I'm on a D as well. I mean, I really don't like this thing. The problem is it's a 1/1, so opponent is kind of fine. You're losing life because you're not blocking, and then you're losing life because you're attacking and drawing cards, which is like, it's good to lose life, like 1 life per 1 card. That's fine, but you're already losing life because you played this card, and opponent can just attack. So I'm on a D. I think it's. It would be cool if it's better, but it doesn't really seem better. Yeah, I don't know. Doesn't feel good. It's just like too much of a tempo loss and life gain loss that it's gonna be very hard to attack with this few times without like being so down and losing the game. Seems like the chat was not offended and or felt dissed. Except Genesis writing that he's leaving and people are crying. Okay, well, glad to hear that. That people are crying. Case of the Stashed Skeleton. For 1 and a black, it's a case, wouldn't you know? When this case enters the battlefield, create a 2/1 black skeleton creature token and suspect it. So you get a 2/1 menace that cannot block. Kinda bad. But to solve, you control no suspected skeletons. Once you solve it, for 1 and a black, sacrifice this case, search your library for a card, put it into your hand and shuffle. Activate only as a sorcery. Man, if you're aggressive, it can be pretty damn good. The problem is, when you're aggressive, a lot of times, like there's gonna be a good amount of times when you are not gonna be the one who is attacking and who is actually being aggressive. We talked about this in one of the previous episodes on the podcast as well. Your deck game plan is gonna differ a lot of times with the actual temporary game plan that you have once you're playing the game. Opponents goes first, they curve out, you're playing a 2-drop that cannot block, that might be game losing. So this doesn't feel good at all. Like, if you are for sure gonna be aggressive, it's great, you get a 2/1 menace, that's already good, and then you're gonna get any card from your library. Not that many sacrifice effects in this set except the 5-drop. There is a 5-drop uncommon that sacks, that's really good with this, I think.
I mean, the Gorgon, right?
Yeah, the Gorgon that we saw, it was 2 cards ago. I think this card is not good in Limited. I think this card is a D. It's too much variance for this one to work.
Yeah, nice. I'm glad we're very consistent. At least you're very consistent about creatures that can't block. I'm on a D+.
D+? Okay. Oh, 1 second. Okay.
Deadly Cover-Up. 3 black for sorcery. As an additional cost to cast a spell, you may collect evidence 6. Destroy all creatures. If evidence was collected, exile a card from an opponent's graveyard, then search its owner's graveyard, hand, and library for any number of cards with that same name and exile them. That player shuffles and then draws a card for each exiled card from their hand this way. I essentially do not care about the collecting evidence. Not really. This is a 5-mana sweeper. I don't like 5-mana sweeper. This is a D+ for me. I don't like. I'm 2024. I'm a sweeper hater. 2024 sweeper hater. This is a D+.
I don't know. I've got to say that this looks kind of fine in the set. Just sweepers have kind of fallen out of favor. Of course, we got broken sweepers. One is where you wipe the board and you get some stuff and you get things on the battlefield. We got some crazy sweepers that were way better than just a sweeper. I think that the sweepers have fallen out of favor because they require, especially 5-6 mana ones, so they require setup, where the sweeper is going to hurt the opponent way more than it hurts you. Because you're losing a full card when you play it, right? And you're losing some creatures. We talked about this like yesterday as well. But there was a big problem. Their opponent is going to be too aggressive and they're just going to be winning the game too hard. Once you're trying to get to the sweeper, then you don't get a 5th land and you lose the game because the aggression was so good. Also, they can just stop playing creatures at one point and still continue winning the game. Then you gotta pull the trigger, pull the plug, and you gotta use the sweeper. But then the opponent is playing their cards first, so it's so hard to get back. I think in this set it's gonna be a little bit better, this sweeper. Just as being 5 mana, kill everything. Just because, well, the set feels way slower, and it feels like it's gonna be easier to set up these sweepers. So I'm gonna give it a C+. I think maybe even higher. I think this sweeper is fine in this set. I actually like it. Usually I would not be high on C, or I would be way lower in any of the previous sets, recent sets that we've had. But I think it's gonna work in this one. It could even go to a B grade, like B-, B. But let's start it with a C+, which is way higher than any sweeper, than if this sweeper appeared in the previous few sets.
I hate it.
Homicide Investigator.
No, go ahead.
What?
My bad, it's your card. Go ahead.
Homicide Investigator. For 1 and black, it's a 2/2 detective. Whenever one or more non-token creatures you control die, investigate. This ability triggers only once each turn. What? Any creature? Not that it can be this one? This is not normal. Wait. One or more non-token... It can be this creature? So like at its worst, this is a 2/2 for 2 that's gonna become a clue once it dies? Holy moly, this is amazing. Gonna give it a B plus at least. I don't think it's a bomb, but it's really, really good. B plus.
Yeah, I'll go B. This card is quite strong.
This is value always, and you can just trade it and you're happy. Like you're happy trading this, but if you don't trade it, you're even happier. My God, that's good. And it's a detective. My God. Usually it's other creatures, but not this time. All right, baby.
Yeah, this card is quite strong.
Mm-hmm.
Hunted Bone Brute, 2 and a black for a creature skeleton blah blah. Creature skeleton based. It's a 6/2 with menace. When Hunted Bone Brute enters the battlefield, target opponent creates 2 1/1 white dog creature tokens. When Hunted Bone Brute dies, each opponent loses 3 life. Has disguise, 1 and a black. Yeah, so the joke here is if you undisguise it, the opponent doesn't get the dogs, but they still lose life when it dies. And a 6/2 with menace is pretty big.
Yeah.
If you want to like translate that into what it's actually going to do, it's probably going to trade with 2 creatures, no matter how small they are on your opponent's side of the board, like 2 things. And
they're going to lose life.
Yeah, and they're going to lose life. This is solid. I don't think this is busted by any means. Obviously, if you have removal to back this up, and you can sort of get a couple hits in, it's going to be super painful for your opponent. Super painful. Pretty easy to play, pretty easy to flip. I don't think I can't imagine a world where I'm ever playing this on 3 mana without disguising it. Am I ever playing this on turn 3 without disguising it?
You're never playing this on turn 2 without disguise. Yeah, ever.
I don't think you're ever playing this on turn 3. But as a turn 3 disguise and a turn whatever flip, turn 4 flip, and then play a 2-drop, that's solid. It's solid. It's a solid card for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna put this at a. Gosh, this can beat down so hard. I'll be optimistic, even though disguising it on turn 3 and flipping turn 4 is a tiny bit slow. I'll be optimistic about it in terms of how much it can clock my opponent anyway. So I'll put this at a B minus.
I mean, you can just trade it with either 2-drop or 3-drop if attacking won't work. I'm gonna B minus as well. Like you can just trade if the attacking is gonna work. Your 6/2 menace is crazy big. It is a lot of mana, like 3 + 2, but it is pretty damn crazy big. But and then 3 life as well. But you can just if you're not gonna be aggressive, you can just play it for 3 mana and trade with most creatures. So that's kind of fine. Without realizing 6/6 for 3 mana rare was not the way to go. Is it just got it?
I think it's you.
Illicit Masquerade. For 3 and a black, it's an enchantment with flash. When it enters the battlefield, put an imposter counter on each creature you control. Whenever a creature you control with an imposter counter dies, exile it. Return up to 1 other target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Well, that's pretty good. Any creature? Well, that's pretty good. If you have few creatures, that's pretty fucking good. And it has flash, right? So you can do it exactly when it's good.
Wait, what?
It has flash, so you can do it. You can use the card without opponent knowing that that they should not trade.
Yeah.
That is huge, right?
Okay.
Is it huge?
Sell me.
Is that huge?
You need a board presence first.
Yeah.
You need your graveyard to be filled. This doesn't buy back the creatures that are dying.
No, because they get exiled.
Yeah. So this is the common. If you have 2 creatures in play and 2 creatures in the graveyard, this is the common.
No, because they get to the battlefield right away.
Oh, yeah, it does go to the battlefield. Okay. Actually, I don't know why I missed that.
But it's huge with flash, right? Because opponent
yeah.
is gonna be okay trading then. If you have a bit of meal,
so you can set it up during blocks or attacks.
Meal Surveil cycle helps here a lot. I'm gonna C+ with this. I think you build a deck a little bit around it. I think it's pretty damn good.
Nice. I love the grade. I hate this card. So I'm glad we're fighting. I think this is really conditional. This is I do agree. This is good payoff. This is good payoff. Yeah. I think the hoops that you have to jump through are too much for me. Too much.
Very conditional, yes.
Yes, it's very conditional. I think it's powerful and very conditional. I will go D+.
In green, there is basic land cycling 6/5 as well. I can see this. I can see it.
Massacre Girl, known killer. 2 black for a legendary creature, human assassin. It's a 4/4. Has menace. Creatures you control have wither. Whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, if its toughness is less than 1, draw a card. We missed a rare. Did we miss a rare?
Did I miss a rare?
What rare did we miss?
No.
But let me continue talking about Massacre Girl. Wither essentially means that when a creature dies, to combat damage from something that's not Massacre Girl, you'll draw a card, right?
Yeah, you're draw. If it trades with your creatures, you're drawing a card.
And this is already a 4/4 menace on its own.
Yeah,
and
4
Wither
mana.
on its own means that you can attack small creatures into large creatures and actually just shrink them, right? So your opponent's like huge wally blocker. You can just you're pretty happy just throwing small creatures at it because then it'll just shrink.
Yeah.
Right? If your opponent has like a 2/5, it's just minimum 0/3, and then at that point it's almost irrelevant. So
yeah, you can attack with anything. It's fine.
Yeah, this card is nice. This card is super good. Already a threat on an empty board, right? 4/4 menace before.
Threat makes all of your creatures better value. It's amazing.
Amazing. This is an A for me.
Yeah, I'm on a bomb grading as well, especially since black has some graveyard recursion. So yeah, I'm on an A. A seems fine. Like this makes everything better. It's so good. It's really good. Like even if you're slow, right, you can just like chomp, but it's not a chomp because their creatures become smaller. So yeah, fuck yeah, I like this. And if they use a trick, well, their creature, like if they want to use a trick and kill this, for example, it's not only other creatures. Every creature has wither. So their creature is gonna die next turn. I gotta say, like with collect evidence, this illicit masquerade is gonna be much worse, right? Because you're removing things from your graveyard already. Are they gonna still be staying there? So this could be much worse, but we're gonna see. Didn't miss it. It's next. Outrageous Robbery is next. Outrageous Robbery. For X and double black, it's an instant, and target opponent exiles the top X cards of their library face down. You may look at and play those cards for as long as they remain exiled. If you cast a spell this way, you may spend mana as though it were mana of any color type to cast it. Okay, so it's a card draw spell, right? It's a card draw spell with an X for your opponent's deck, and you can just play a lot of cards at any point. So for 4 mana, you're getting 2 cards. For 5 mana, you're getting 3. For 6, you're getting 4. I mean, it's just a card draw spell. But it's not bad. If this set turns out to be slower, like it feels like it is, you just draw a billion cards later in the game, or you draw like 2 for 4 mana. And I think the set is slower, so I think this is gonna be better. I'm on a C+. Because you can do so much.
Okay, I don't hate it. I'm not taking it as high as a C+. I'll take it as C. I do understand its merits, you know, in some matchups, but it's C+ is pretty high. I do like casting this.
It is high.
I do like the flexibility of casting into 4 and plus, but it is like 4 before you're happy with it, right? 3 is terrible.
3 is terrible. It's like 4, and 4 is bad. 5 is not great as well. But I think in this set, like there are gonna be times where you're just yeah, it's better to draw from your decks because it gives you know your deck, right? And it gives you what's the name? It gives you cards in your graveyard. But in limited, sometimes it's like cards work from your opponent's deck work well with your deck, but you could never play that color because it's a 3rd or a 4th color. So it's better to draw it from your deck, but it's not bad to draw from the opponent's deck. In most sets, I would not give this a high grade because the 4 and 5 modes are the usual modes and they are not good. They're not good. But in a slower set, and this feels like one, I think it's gonna be way better.
I'm gonna counter argument slightly. Even in this slower set, can't you just accumulate value by other cards that actually affect the board as well? Like, there's so much investigation attached on to things that actually do things, to cards that actually do things. Like, do you not want to be getting your card advantage for something that actually affects the board instead of something you have to dump a lot of mana into for no board progress?
You mean like a 6 mana 5/6 that gives you evidence?
Yes.
Maybe. I just don't believe there is that many. Like, what did we get in black? We got a trick that gets a clue. That's not like card advantage a lot of times. And that's not card advantage that many times.
It's bizarre. I feel like, despite Demir being the clue archetype, I feel like there are more white cards than investigated.
+2/+2 investigates, which I love. There's a +2/+1 to everything, which is fine.
There's the Novice Inspector, which investigates.
No Novice Inspector, yeah.
Yeah, isn't that weird? That's kind of weird to me.
It is kind of weird. Like, in black, I mean, you don't get that many investigators. That's kind of about it, right? Those, it's the trick and it's the 6-drop. Like, that's it.
The 6-drop barely counts as uncommon.
Oh, it's an uncommon? Oh, yeah, the 6-drop.
Yeah, the 6-drop's an uncommon.
So there's like one card. So I don't know how many you have. I think this card is going to be fine in this set.
Fair enough. I'm on a C.
Okay.
Vein Ripper, 3 black. For a vampire assassin, that's a 6/5 with flying. Has ward, sacrifice a creature. Whenever a creature dies, target opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. Big. Happy paying 6 mana for this. This is nice. Ward, sacrifice a creature. Nice. That effect. So an effect like this kind of means it has immediate board impact. It doesn't say it has immediate board impact, but you play this and then you attack. That's immediate board impact. You send all your tiny, crappy creatures into combat. When your opponent's at like 8 life, you send 4 creatures into 4 2/2s into combat. You know,
4 is a lot of creatures to have on the board, though.
Yeah, sure. but it does do some nice things. It affects combat the turn it comes down. I like this. As far as the 6-drop goes, which is a pretty high bar, I like this. I like this card. This is a B+ to me.
This is incredible. So the problem is triple black, obviously. That's the biggest problem. I don't give a damn that it's 6-drop. If opponent uses removal on this, they're gonna lose 4 life and you're gonna gain 4 life. And they're gonna lose the creature. If opponent uses removal on this, they lose 4 life and you gain 4 life. That is 8 life swing. It's 8 life swing. I think this thing is worth it. Like, triple black, I don't think it makes it worse. I think this is a bomb. Why do opponents lose 4 life when they use removal on it? So it has ward, sacrifice a creature. So opponent has to sacrifice a creature. So that means they lose 2 life and gain 2 life whenever a creature dies. And when they're killing this creature, obviously, so that's another creature dying. So that's like 2 creatures are dying when they use removal on it. The thing is, there are some removal spells that cannot be countered, so the ward is not gonna do much. Yeah, exactly, good Amor, exactly. I'm on an A for this one. I think this is a bomb. You on a B+, Cody?
No, I'll go A-.
Yeah, I definitely think this is a bomb.
This card is sick.
It's sick.
It's really, really good.
It's sick. Those triple black is a bit hard, but it's sick. I don't think this is better than Dracosaur.
I don't know why anyone would ever say that. Like, come on.
God damn it. God damn it, Scotty. Ready for the next one? For red?
Let me update my Scryfall, yeah. Actually, can I go to the bathroom? I'm going to go to the bathroom.